Steve Altmaier served almost 42 years as one of the voices of Kearney, broadcasting sports play-by-play and keeping the area informed on the news that is important to them here where they live. Steve grew up on a farm in rural Buffalo County and attended country school through 6th grade and then finished up at Kearney High School, graduating in 1973. While in high school, he helped start the Kearney High Show on KRNY-FM, which was a rock station at the time. After that, he had caught the radio bug and went to Kearney State College to get a broadcasting degree. Steve started at KGFW-AM on New Year's Eve, 1974. He was hired as a full-time DJ with part-time play-by-play duties by NBA Hall of Famer John McDonald when he graduated in 1977.
One thing everyone needs to know about Steve Altmaier is that he is a machine. The man is a workman of unbelievable capacity. He did the late night game, did the driving home, signed on in the morning the next day. I don't think he was ever late once.
Steve taught me the ropes. Steve is who I learned from, watching and listening to him.
In 1981, Steve was named KGFW Sports Director. During his time as sports director, he was known as the voice of the Lopers, calling the game broadcasts of over 2,500 UNK athletic events, including football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and even softball. In total, logging over 24 years working with the Lopers, who at the time participated in the RMAC conference. For his service to the university, he was inducted into the Loper Athletics Hall of Fame in 2006.
High point really is the people you meet and the friends you make and the places you visit. I mean, you can look at specific games, but when you do it for 25 years, there's 250 football games, there's 600 basketball games, so it's hard to pick out one or two of those.
He truly has the rare ability to paint a picture with his words. You could see the game and the action just by listening to Steve.
Well, he was the voice of the Antelopes for many years, and I think that's probably a lot of people would know University of Nebraska, Kearney, a lot because of his voice on the air.
So many years and broadcasted so many different sports, and everybody respected Steve and kind of idolized Steve. So I would say he meant everything to the community, and got to be to the point where he was more or less a legend around Kearney.
I think he ultimately cared about the people that he was serving as far as broadcasting the sports events, whether it's in high school or whether it was at UNK, Kearney State.
And he was the guy that told you what was going on, and he painted a beautiful picture, and he was the person that allowed you to follow along and feel like you were at the games.
Whether that was through his sports broadcasting or whether through the news, Steve brought that, I think, calm, well-rehearsed voice to radio.
Basically, when he was on the road for the Lopers, one time we had a Firebird sports car, rear wheel, and just the stories of him going over Wolf Creek Pass in Colorado, over the mountains at 12,000 feet and up and down that in the middle of winter.
In addition to his work with the Lopers, Steve helped bring many high school sports broadcasts into Kearney area living rooms and cars. In 2005, Steve was recognized as the Nebraska Coaches Association Media Person of the Year.
He just knew how to communicate with people, and that's something I'll always remember about Steve.
One of the things he taught me is leave early. There were several times where we would show up, and we would show up before everybody else was showing up. So we would have to wait for gates to be unlocked. Sometimes we actually climbed over fences.
Always there to help me with, my venture into radio broadcasting, allow me the opportunity to learn from one of the best.
Steve was extremely professional in everything that he did, but always very intense. And whether he was coaching a team of teenagers in a Little League baseball game, or he's coaching me in terms of the best and proper way to call a sporting event, it was always highly intentional and very, very purposeful.
Play-by-plays may have happened the very first year. Kearney High won one of their girls' state Class A basketball championships. Basically the first year I did play-by-play, I thought this was going to be easy. You get state championships and national tournament appearances all the time, but Found out, obviously, that doesn't happen all the time.
After retiring from sports play-by-play in 2005, Steve became the Associate News Director of KGFW and later News Director. He was also part of the long-running Breakfast Flakes morning show on KGFW at times.
We're talking this morning with Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts and Governor.
During his career in news, Steve interviewed governors, congressmen, and senators, state legislators, and other state and local government officials.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Steve on being inducted to the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. It is well deserved. All of my dealings with Steve were very professional. He's very knowledgeable, and he was always very fair. I always enjoyed working with him because I knew he would ask the questions that his listeners wanted to hear.
Add to that visits from nonprofit and business leaders, entertainers, and just countless regular citizens on KGFW's legacy community program, Talk of the Town. Steve was part of the KGFW staff in 1987 when the station won the NAB's Crystal Award.
I think some of my best memories are when Steve first started doing Talk of the Town with Paul Weiss. They were quite a pair, and Steve would get pretty exercised and pretty frustrated over the years. He learned to take Paul and I think many of the callers in stride and really handled it very, very well. And I think, to me, made talk radio for South Central Nebraska.
Steve's love of playing and coaching sports led to 9 years of coaching Kearney Little League teams, including coaching his son Jake and the first Kearney Little League team to ever play in the Little League Regional Tournament in Indianapolis. He also served on the Kearney Little League Board of Directors and was a member of the Kearney Legion Baseball Board.
I got to know Steve when I was just maybe 13, 14 playing Little League Baseball, and I often tell people he was clearly one of the best coaches I ever had.
Steve married his wife Amy in 1992, and their son Jake played both baseball and football at UNK for a short time. Amy taught at Shelton Elementary for 35 years. Steve retired from KGFW in November of 2016.
There is no other way to say it. Steve embodied what great local radio should be in our communities, and he did it for a long time.
Congratulations to Steve Altmaier on his induction into the Nebraska Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame, Class of 2019.